Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Look at us with our new gear.
Yes,
the new
our
microphones. I'm so excited.
This is so cool. Teams is like superior to Skype.
It is, dude. Oh my god, the quality is fantastic.
It is. It's so good.
It is.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to read the intro?
Okay. I have it open right now. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
I've got multiple devices up and none of them have dots.
That's tech for you. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Starting in
The setup.
Oh no.
Or go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Starting in quarantine without an end in sight, we're bringing to you advice and good conversation from one teenager to another. This is Sonica and Chelsea with Armbridge, a podcast we hope to be informative and reflective of the everyday world around us. Thank you for joining us today. It is June 18th.
Time isn't real.
Time is not real at all. Last week I caught up with some of my friends from middle school to talk about how we're doing in quarantine, our dreams for the future, and whether or not time is real, so go check that out. This week, we have a very chaotic but very current topic fueled by what we can only describe as the worst song in the entire world. So...
Do we want to throw shade? Do we want to just leave it at that?
You know what? This is a song review episode, so I feel like we're kind of obliged to give our slight opinion, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So it kind of started when I don't even know what time it was, but I was like, you know what? I've never done before in this quarantine. Listen to 6ix9ine, and I got my butt onto YouTube. I looked up Gooba. And I wondered who waited for him to get out of jail to release such a chef's kiss, such a masterpiece. So what were your thoughts on that though? Not gonna lie.
I listened to the first 4 seconds of it because I was listening to nature sounds on Spotify and my playlist ended, and because it was at the top of SoundCloud, and because I was at the top of the SoundCloud charts, it just started, and it was the 4 most chaotic seconds of my life, so I just stopped it because it was it contrasted the nature sounds a lot. It wasn't the vibe I was going for at the moment.
Oh my. But yeah, we sort of started...
Outside of the music, he's just a morally questionable person, so...
that's our opinion on our music review episode.
Sorry.
Sucks.
Yeah. So that prompted us to want to do an episode on our podcast of our favorite songs, where we dissect the meaning of it and just share stuff we love,
Yes. And since we're both budding philosophy interest nerds.
Guess what? On that topic, I signed up for my classes for university, and I'm taking an intro to philosophy class.
Girl! Virtual high five.
I did it. Virtual high five.
You did that, sis. You did that.
I did that.
Yes.
Yeah, boy. Those AP credits paid off. Room.
Give me enough room to take philosophy 101.
Philosophy. Yeah.
But on that note, we sort of started thinking, well, we love philosophy and we love music. What if there were songs that had philosophy in them? So
amazing.
Got kind of crazy. And we compiled a list, as Sonica said, of our favorite songs. So we're going to get to that today with you guys.
Oh, I also have my Dalgona coffee.
Oh.
Yeah, boy.
I had some this morning.
Caffeinated and stylish. Trendy.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty.
Okay, let's begin.
So getting into it, we each picked 3 songs of our own, and we picked 2 songs that we have in common or that we both listen to and enjoy, since we both have 2 very different music tastes, but some of it intersects. And to start off with today's first song, it's called Merlot by Korean rapper Nafla, and this song kind of came to me in the middle of quarantine. I was already sad. I saw the music video. I became really sad. I looked up the Hangul lyrics. I was even sadder. So I kind of wrote some notes on this. And
A1 sad boy song.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I guess for my initial thoughts on it, like, I realized that Merlot was a type of wine, and throughout the song, there is a lot of imagery alluding to the wine through, I believe there was blood, and also the actual alcohol itself. And what I got from the lyrics was that it's sort of showing like the addiction, like the after effects. Because if I thought about it like alcoholism, in the sense that you know, it's like a refusal to let go, and the lingering effects are still there, rather than like simply being intoxicated at the moment. And I sort of interpreted, if you look up the lyrics, I didn't write any specific lyrics down, but that their relationship was the portion of, I guess, alcoholism where you're like drinking the wine, so you're intoxicated, you're in a state of like you're not really thinking straight. And as it kept going, like the song is about him trying to recover from this person that had like sort of like he was with her and didn't think much, and it was a relationship that was only for pleasure and not necessarily like a deep connection. So
An actual connection.
we'll put a few seconds of the song in here for you guys to listen to, but you know, what did you sort of think about it? Because I know like it's not necessarily your kind of music, but I was just wondering you know, how you felt on that.
Honestly, I had pretty much the same thoughts. I thought the parallel was really interesting. Certainly wasn't something I would have just like thought of off the bat. But I also like how the metaphor kind of extended itself. Like a lot of people kind of say, I wouldn't know again, as we've established in multiple episodes, that like when you're in love, there's like that state of like euphoria, or kind of like not being like grounded, right? And so the comparison definitely makes sense in that sense, and I guess that was like the more straightforward part of it. But then the fact that like even after they like broke up, but he's still like feeling the after effects and whatnot, like I really liked how that parallels the extended metaphor kind of carried through even to that aspect of the song. So, and
if I might have a screenshot of the music video that I could send you to put in the video, but
yeah, we can definitely insert it.
The video was pretty interesting to me because like I understand like the gun control laws in Korea are probably a lot stricter, but the way that like guns were interpreted in hip hop, I think we brought this up in a prior conversation.
Yeah, we did in a conversation.
That it was like used mainly like as a symbol of like, I guess, trying to get over something quickly. Like it was just like a sudden like that, and I thought it was a really interesting way that they interpreted the concept of ending it quickly, because I guess in other hip-hop music videos, you know, sometimes there are gunshot noises.
It's just very normalized. Yeah. It's like, yeah, in the US it's not as we wouldn't treat it as symbolically because it's such a like normal part of society, unfortunately. So yeah, I definitely, as we mentioned in the conversations, I definitely thought that was interesting, like the contrast between how US music videos portray it versus how in this one it was more, it had a deeper meaning versus just like being there for the sake of like the hip hop culture or whatever, and like quotes. So yeah. And
I guess this sort of segues into our next song, maybe, if I'm thinking correctly. But I feel like nowadays hip hop is very current, like it's very conscious of what it's supposed to be and the influence that it has on people. Like I've started to notice that a lot of rappers that I listen to, both like Western and Korean, you know, have started to think about more introspective like reflection, because there's definitely that stigma that like hip-hop music is not very beneficial for like young listeners and listeners in general. So it was kind of an interesting turn that he took, that Nafla took, especially because he was more of like a trap boom bap sort of person, but then trying to be more reflective of a relationship. The whole time I was asking like, who hurt you? Like, who is this person? Like, who hurt you? But I think it's a really nice change, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so shall we?
Yes. Who is our next?
Right.
Who is our next song?
The one we were supposed to segue into, we'll throw it in next week. But for my song, I'm doing "Better Days" by OneRepublic. I chose this one because it was also kind of relevant to current events, not really in like a social issue sense, but more in just like an emotional context. "Better Days," it was written only a couple months ago in March, if I remember correctly. And Ryan Tedder and OneRepublic, they actually wrote, produced, like the whole deal. They did all of that in the course of like 2 to 3 weeks and released the song in response to coronavirus and like the COVID pandemic going on right now. Here, let me put my notes out on it.
You got the whole journal out, sis.
There's so much
Me
going on.
too.
Right
I have like a whole
it's
thing.
Messy. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, basically, as I said, the whole thing was recorded in the course of 2 to 3 weeks. It was in response to COVID. And if you read the lyrics, which I will pull up real quick, a lot of it kind of just focuses on like the emotional aspect of it, where it's like, we never really saw it coming. Like, if you told 2019 me, hey, guess what? There's going to be a global pandemic and millions are going to be dead, I would be like, what? What? So it was kind of focusing on that feeling. But then he channeled it more from, like, the doom and gloom sort of situation that a lot of people are focusing on to, like, this will be over eventually. And it was used more as, like, an emotional comfort. Hold up, let me pull up the lyrics. So basically during March, that was like right when we started the whole stay-at-home thingy and like no school, you know, all that fun stuff. And so he used to do a lot of live streams. He and like OneRepublic, all of them, they used to do a lot of live streams where they just like talk and they do like little virtual concerts for their fans, which it was very nice. But he was saying basically like this won't last forever. Like literally everything else in life, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be there like for the rest of our life. And even if it is, we'll learn to like adjust and adapt, right?
The Bear Grylls meme. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. But yeah, it's just it was a nice assuring song that talks about like how this isn't permanent. It's different, it's interesting, we'll have stories to tell, and it sucks right now, but eventually things will get better.
And
So what were your
when I
opinions on the
listened to
song?
it, sort of like how you reacted to Merlot in that sense, it's not necessarily the sort of music I would listen to, but I really appreciate like the transparency that they had with it. Because sometimes I feel like with pop music especially, I just tend to lean away from it because of like the superficiality of it all, and sometimes they don't sound genuine. But I think like after hearing your testimony with, you know, their interviews and the process that they went through to make the song, it is a lot more genuine and heartfelt in my opinion now, and I see them in like a much better light.
I really like them for that reason.
Because you know, like sometimes you don't have to make a song for a complicated reason. Like if you're simply just not in a good place, or if you're just sad, or if you're just hoping for, you know, in the case of better days, like a better future, like it's fine to go that way. And I think I don't know much, but from like knowing how they sounded before, it doesn't seem like they've changed their sound a lot, like to appease anybody. It seems like they're just making songs to make songs.
Oh yeah, they've kind of maintained it. It changes album to album, but the general vibe.
Yeah, like the vibe is
still
still
there.
there from what I know. I don't know a lot, but
no, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I've watched a lot of their interviews. Like the more you say, the more I'm like, oh yeah, he mentioned something about that this one thing. But no, actually, I wanted to point out, like, I know this is kind of a small detail that I mentioned, but like the fact that they did the whole thing in 2 to 3 weeks is crazy to me. Like, that's fast. That's really, really fast. He said that he did have the chorus for the song since like October of last year or something. I don't remember the exact date, but the chorus was there, but he just needed a context. And then when COVID came around, I was like, no, this is perfect opportunity. But yeah, I mean, 3 weeks, that's impressive. Like they recorded it, they composed it, the whole, like the entire process took
that's actually
month.
That is insane.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yes,
so kudos to them for
sure.
efficiency.
Because, you know, I don't know, we were talking about this is sort of a side point, but like the fact that is it just me because I'm not in school, or is it just that music releases are happening so quickly?
They are. Oh my god, yeah, there's so much coming out right now.
Just like thriving, but
about it.
It's hard to gauge because a lot of the notifications that we get for new songs coming out happen during school. But then, like, you know, you don't really pay attention because you just swipe it away, like, oh yeah, I'm at school, whatever. And they all just kind of pile up.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, for every creator that I follow, I'm just like, bat, 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 bat. Like, I'm following every single thing that they're doing.
You have something, you have something,
Yes.
you have something.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. It's great. I still haven't listened to Chromatica, Lady Gaga's
I wanted
new
to,
album.
because I
need
thought,
to.
you know.
I listened to a couple of songs.
She collabed with Blackpink? Man, that's crazy.
That one was good. I listened to it.
I heard part of it, but I
Yeah.
haven't, like, gone into the full thing yet.
Sour candy.
I respect Blackpink.
Yeah.
The
I love
femme
them.
fatale
They're
energy
good.
is so high. Like, it's
Oh my
insane.
God, for
I really
real, yeah.
respect that. That's super cool.
I love them. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have on my song.
This isn't...
Wow, we're moving through this a lot quicker than I expected.
Because I think, like, you know, like, we're just so passionate about this that it's so much easier to talk to.
It's just coming out, yeah.
Because, I don't know, music is just, it's so helpful, like, to indulge in it now, because I think I didn't value how much it mattered to me until I sat at home and started listening more intently to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that instead of analyzing, like, I don't know, English literature or something, I can just sit there and analyze, like, song lyrics.
No, yeah, on a similar note, actually, the reason I really like this episode is kind of a throwback to fifth grade for me. Yeah, because my fifth grade teacher, she's one of my favorite teachers ever. Like, from 4th to 6th grade, I had the best writing teachers ever, and I'm so grateful for them. She did this thing where with our class, every single week, she'd have us listen to a song and analyze its lyrics. And a lot of them were, like, pop songs or, like, you know, stuff that we were, like, our generation would actually be into. And if not, like, I got into a ton of, like, older songs because of it, and it was such a lovely experience. Like, we'd just sit in a circle and listen to the song every day, and she'd have us, like, as fifth graders, break down some of these lyrics and be like, hey, what do you think this means? And we'd just analyze songs, and honestly that helped my literary analysis skills, and it was really fun to do. So this episode idea, I was like
finally, yes. Thank goodness. And
yeah,
like, if you showed me any of these songs in 5th grade and told me to analyze it, I would go insane. I'd be like, what are you telling me to do?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Do you remember, like, in 6th grade, we did that thing where we were talking about, like, the hero's journey? Like, I guess for those of you who are not sure, like, it's, you know, you have your beginning, your middle, your climax, and maybe your rising action, falling action, where the hero goes through stuff. They made us analyze, like, what was it? Safe and Sound by, like, Safe and Sound by, what was that group?
Was it Taylor Swift?
It was that.
Oh,
Jesus.
What's it?
That song was a banger. I don't remember.
It was. Wait, Safe.
There were, like,
yeah.
But who made it?
Yeah. Oh shoot. Safe and Sound lyrics. Capital Cities.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank God for Google.
Katy Perry's Roar.
Yeah.
There was that one by Aloe Black.
Hey brother, wake me up.
Yes,
wake me
yes,
up.
yes.
Wake me up.
That was, like, the most challenging thing ever. Like, our teacher would just sit us down in the morning. We'd have, like, a warm up, and then be like, "How does this represent the hero's journey?" You're like, "Oh, stop!" But it was so fun, because it sort of helps, like, you think of entertainment in a different way. Like, even with you know, pop music, I used to, like, I hate to say this, but I really used to, like, rip on it. Like, oh, it's so dumb, or the lyrics are so superficial. But for some people, you know, like, there are songs that I've listened to and I was like, oh, the lyrics are kind of, like, okay or whatever. But sometimes I'd read comments saying, like, you know, this song really helped me when I was sad, this song really helped me when I was going through a hard time. And it's really, like, I've gained a greater appreciation for different kinds of music.
Yeah. For me, I find the appeal, like, my main genre is pop, pretty much, right? But I'm also very selective about, like, the pop songs I listen to. Like, as you said, for me, I prefer songs that, like, you can see the effort in. If not in the lyrics, maybe, like, I know for pop, a lot of the appeal is, like, repetitive, catchy, right? Same with EDM. But, like, if some aspect of the song shows like a genuine effort or some kind of like artistic value, whether it be the production, as we're focusing on today, the songwriting, or like the context behind it, or like the cultural influences, as long as I see some sort of like thought put into it, I have a respect for it.
So we were talking about artists in particular that we thought sort of, we were like, this is hard to explain, but I guess I can kind of use an example. But for me is Jay Park, and I know that Jay Park makes a lot of, like, throughout his lyrics, like, I've started to notice a lot of similar references, like, to older songs, or to, like, sort of trademarks, especially him referencing Seattle, where he's from, and Soju, which was, like, his first American single with Jay-Z's record label, as the first Asian American on Jay-Z's record label.
Wow.
As you can tell, I'm a huge fan. But I kind of let that go because, as you said, like, you can tell when artists are working really hard for, you know, like, their music. They're putting in beyond, like, the song itself. So, who was your... Because I know you had an example as well. Like, who was that again?
Did I think... I don't want to shade on anyone.
No, it
like,
wasn't a bad example. It was just, like, sort of... Was it Charlie Puth or something? I think... No,
I like Charlie Puth. I like his production. I like that aspect of his music. I think mine was Cardi B. It was like a similar thing where it's like her songs are really catchy and she's insanely talented. But just like personally, I started... I don't know. There's like a pattern in between, like with the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I like variety. But that's just a personal preference.
Oh, no,
yeah,
of course.
It's entirely subjective.
But yeah. Oh, we said that at the same time. Those are our transitions.
The synergy, the synchronization.
Yes, it's immaculate.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Yes.
I think, let's see. Do you want to move on to your second song? All right, let's do this.
So for my second song, it was Afterlife by BENEE. BENEE? BENEE?
BENEE? I think.
I have no idea. But I thought it was like a really interesting song because of the fact that it references the afterlife, which is something like extremely uncommon within music, and especially since like she's a very young musician, like her take on like the metaphor that is very interesting. I actually really had no idea what the song was about. I was kind of like, what? But I sort of thought about it as she mentions zombies within the song, and I think the whole message is essentially like she's speaking to another girl saying, I'll get revenge on you when we're dead. And she sees the other girl as a killer, and that she wants to steal this other girl's boyfriend. So I thought it was like a really interesting way to convey, I guess, jealousy, and also the way that like past reparations, because she mentions zombies in one specific lyric, can sort of like, even if you're dead, you know, like the cycle of like, or even if you've recovered these past wounds and stuff, like the cycle of jealousy and hatred can still continue. I don't really know. It was a very confusing song, and I guess like when I thought about the afterlife, I guess she also has this willingness to like end whatever argument she's having like once and for all.
So like a sense of closure as well.
Yeah, I thought that was like really interesting, like because there are phrases like, you know, over my dead body, or not until I'm dead. So I think it was like sort of an allusion to that, and the way she conveyed it was very interesting to me. Yeah.
You need to stop stealing my ideas and songs every time you talk. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. That just means we have the same thoughts.
The synergy.
As you said, since I do write songs as well, like in my free time, there are a lot of songs I listen to, and I listen to the lyrics, and I'm just like, wow, the creativity. Like, I would never think of comparing something like this to I'd never think of linking A and B together, and like both of the songs you've had so far kind of did that with me, right? Even with Afterlife, I was like, jealousies, I mean, it's a pretty common theme in a lot of songs because it's a feeling we feel, right? But I've never seen it like conveyed in terms of like the afterlife and like the dead. I thought that was really interesting. It was a cool comparison. So from like, as someone who songwrites, most of my stuff is like nature and like blah 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 blah, blah like trees and plants and leaves and flowers. I love nature comparisons. Yes. But yeah, because of that, anytime I see anything like other than that, that's like well outside the bounds of what's natural, like zombies and stuff like that, I'm always like, wow, that's creative.
It was also like very neat because usually like it's how do you say this, like it's encouraged that you get over this jealousy, but like the fact that she was still spiteful about it was really like, whoa, like, okay, it's honest. Like, I mean, go on, queen, I guess. Like, what?
Yeah.
But as we continue on, you know, we have some songs in common. As stated at the beginning, there are some things that we do enjoy. So which song are we going to review next?
We are doing Pack It Up by pH-1.
pH-1. We love to see it.
We love it. Yes,
we love to see it. So. Yes. I noticed throughout listening to his whole mixtape, someone angered him. Like, bro, guys, Stream X, the worst mixtape. Like, literally someone
made him mad.
If you guys aren't familiar with pH-1, he usually makes very mellow, honest music. It's usually very lighthearted. I saw Pack It Up and I was like, oh my god, who hurt you, bro? Someone made him mad.
No, those are good lyrics though, holy cow.
I know, like straight fire. Yeah. Straight fire. You know, like, what did you think when you listened to it? Because I know you're not as hip-hop inclined. Like, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm honestly, when it comes to Korean music, I do more mainstream. But there is a lot, like, these lyrics are relevant to the music industry there, at least, like, in terms of what I know from it.
Yes.
I thought it was, like, man, as you said, pH-1 generally does, like, mellow songs, and when I listen to his stuff, I'm just, like, vibing. I was listening to Pack It Up, and I was like, oh my god.
The whole 180.
Yeah.
In the music video, he like starts smashing a car with a golf club.
I know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But okay, do we want to explain what the song means? I feel like
let's unpack. Pack it up.
Oh my god, the pun. Immaculate.
Yes. But the song was pretty interesting because I don't really know, because I know from I made you watch this like twice. But there's a show called Show Me the Money that he was on last year. And one of the criticisms about Korean hip-hop is that a lot of people try to... We talked about this in episode 2 as well with Trap House Guy. Our beloved Trap House Guy, EK. And we sort of talked about how a lot of Korean artists try to like emulate Western... Or Korean hip-hop artists try to emulate Western hip-hop because hip-hop is most prevalent in the States. So, like, you have issues with cultural appropriation, you have issues with trying to mimic a certain style, and the song Pack It Up was kind of talking about how artists become kind of superficial about the way that they make albums. They try to get likes, they try to get features, they try to get, like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and even, like, from what we were saying earlier about putting like original thought and like putting a genuine effort into the music, I feel like a lot of these songs, not a lot of these songs, I wouldn't go out and say like most people, I don't want to generalize, but some of the songs we listen to, especially even in Bollywood, like I listen to a lot of Bollywood music as well, right? They seem more of like caricatures of hip hop than actual hip hop, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can connect more to Bollywood because I listen to more hip-hop within that genre. But, yeah, I think the song was also criticizing that, where it's like, you see some artists get big, and I'm going to contextualize this more in the Bollywood context because that's what I know more of.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Bollywood, but just like Indian hip-hop in general. You see a lot of artists get big, and you look at their lyrics or like their sound, and you're just like... It seems like you're trying to be like hip-hop more than actually appreciating what hip-hop is. Like, a lot of it is appropriation. A lot of it is like the surface level, as you said. Like, there's not really a knowledge of the history, the background, the context, and because of that, the lyrics kind of reflect that as well, where they're like superficial, only glorifying like violence or glorifying riches and stuff like that, when there's a lot more to hip-hop, and how it like developed as a genre. And it's just it's apparent that that knowledge is not there in some of these songs, and so I think the song kind of in a way touches on that as well.
Yeah, because there was like, and there was also a huge lack of writing from experience, as we know from
Trap House Guy.
we love Trap House Guy, but yeah, as from that and from like just other artists that I see like talking about, like there was an article that I looked up at one point. There's a Korean rapper named Changmo, and at one point he was rapping about growing up in a disparate neighborhood, growing up on hard times, which is fine, you can talk about that, but it was interesting because the article sort of debunked that whole like sentiment, because he grew up in a very well-to-do family. He went to prep school, after school classes, like he was well off in his life, and I not that like I don't really respect him, I understand it's just a lack of awareness and understanding, but yeah, the song kind of touched on that as well, and it was like a huge call out. I was like, dang, you really said.
It ties back to appropriation, right? Like,
right.
Being economically disadvantaged is not trendy, or like,
for sure, yeah,
like that shouldn't be a light subject, and it shouldn't be something you just casually rap about because you want to look hip-hop. Like, some people genuinely went through these struggles and wrote the songs as like a release, as some sort of like therapy from that situation, and to like make something better out of the situation, but just to shed light on it, to like make like you know
yes,
what I mean,
do,
right? Yeah, the music is a release, and when you write from experience, it's different than trying to just pretend, and
right.
It's apparent when the pretending is there. So the song addressed that. We thought that was really cool. I was doing a little bit of research on this as well, and I think in Korea it's called sajegi, right?
Oh,
where it's like,
I don't know.
Okay, but the song it addresses that, where it's like manipulating charts and like.
Oh yes, I remember that lyric.
Yeah.
There was there was an artist who was doing that at one point. I remember reading about it.
Oh, there's many artists.
But there was
doing
like one specific one I read about. It was like some really unknown like guy. I forget who it was. I think it was someone I listened to. But yeah, it's so like stupid because actually, does Justin Bieber's Yummy relate to this?
Does it? I don't know.
Does it though? It's not really.
I don't think so.
It's not really manipulating the charts, but it's like.
No, it was. See, okay, there's the thing. I was reading an NPR article about this, and before the podcast, and it was talking about like, because of streaming services, and okay, so wait, hold up, before we get into all of this, for those of y'all who don't know what sajegi is, basically it's like manipulating the charts by like. It could be used in any context. Okay, so I'm just going to like unpack the entire NPR article I read. It could be used in multiple contexts. In a more general context, it's like bulk buying a lot of things so that like you appear you're in a better place than you actually are. So they mentioned like in cosmetics,
like the artist themselves buys these things? Yeah,
so they first kind of mentioned cosmetics as like to give the example, and they were saying it's like if some like face mask company buys like 100,000 some of their own face masks just to like keep that loop circulating, like instead of looking like it didn't sell at all, at least they've got some numbers on the plate. Sure, they bought it themselves, but like
yeah, the
numbers say otherwise. So in music it works the same way kind of, except streaming makes it a little bit more complicated. So a lot of these like streaming platforms, they'll have bots and stuff like that just like mass stream these songs and boost the chart numbers by a lot. And the thing is, the reason it sucks is because it's not on a small scale. Like if like y'all know how crazy K-pop stans are on Twitter. Come on now, right?
Yes.
So it's like this isn't a small number of streams or a small number of bots. Like you need millions to actually make a difference. And so the reason it sucks is because you can't just have 10,000 some bots or 10,000 streams to actually boost yourself on the chart. Like this is it's very profitable. So the companies that do it, and like give these entertainment agencies or songwriters or artists access to this like back door sort of. They do it on a huge scale. Like, it's millions and millions of streams we're talking about. So the song criticizes that. Yeah. Where was I going with this? My train of thought just like ended.
I think you were talking about, or I mentioned Justin Bieber's Yummy, and then
right. Okay. So the article then went into like what counts as chart manipulation then, because another concern was like fans mass streaming music, right, to get their like idols or their favorite artists on the chart. And as we mentioned with Justin Bieber's Yummy, he had that questionable promotion on Instagram where it was like, please stream Yummy, guys. But a lot of like, so we know that like music is changing a lot because of, one, globalization, two, technology and streaming services, and just like a lot of stuff is kind of coming apart. Like, charts used to be the telltale way of gauging the success of a music, but now that there's like multiple ways to stream, there's multiple places to publish, there's like tons of routes you can go off of, we're starting to question the validity of charts in gauging a song or an album's success, right? Because they're saying, could mass streaming by fans count as like chart manipulation? But then someone was like, no, because how do you regulate that, right? Like, if the fan genuinely wants to stream their artist's song, it would be
a bot again, right? Because that's something mandated by a company.
Yeah, like, it would have to be a bot. It can't be an actual fan, because who's to say like you can only listen to the song this many times a day? Like, if they want to play that thing on loop 24/7, that's just, they're just doing that. Like, you can't really put a stop to that. So I thought it was interesting because I am a BTS fan, and you know that we mass stream the heck out of everything that they put out there, right? So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased because I do this as well. Not to like that extreme where it's like I stream 24/7, but I know that like mass streaming has a big effect on how high up on the charts you are. But I also can't, like, I wouldn't go as far as to call that chart manipulation, because that's up to the fans. They're not asking us to stream like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just the fans are doing it on their own because they want it. They want BTS to be at the top of the charts, right? But then a lot of people bring up, and I do agree with this, are charts the most effective way to measure the success of a song or an album anymore? Because don't get me wrong, I know someone's gonna like attack me if I don't. I mean,
it's like, it's objective success, like statistically
it is, and that's the thing. Like, is there any way you could actually gauge the success of a song? Like,
I don't think so.
Being at the top of the charts is fantastic, and I think it's an amazing accomplishment, but because there's just so many ways to stream, so many ways to manipulate charts, so many ways to like, you know, just, there's so much new in the music industry. Charts are starting to become kind of an outdated way of measuring success. But I also don't know that there is a way. Like, I don't know. After reading the article, I thought it was really interesting because, like, I don't think fan engagement counts as chart manipulation. Like, it can't. Who's to regulate?
Yeah, because you're doing that yourself, and it just happens to be that like BTS is very popular and has an international fan base. That's just like how it works, you know. And every day, like, but if you listen to music, you're on your like I mean, you have like playlists with the songs, and they're already in there.
Exactly. Like, if you told me you can only listen to Black Swan 5 times a day, I would like yell at you. Like, who are you to tell me that?
Black Swan is so good. What the heck? I might just have to stand, you know?
Really? Oh my god, y'all, I
didn't dislike them before. I just didn't like. I wasn't able to get into it.
Yeah. I get that. You got me into pH-1. It's your turn. I'm gonna make you a stand.
No problem. I will accept it gladly. You know, might even go rogue, buy a Jungkook hoodie or whatever. Like,
that's when you know you surpassed me in terms of stand level.
Might be that guy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah.
No, but yeah, it's. I thought the song was cool for that. Like, a lot of the stuff. It just got me thinking. Like, I didn't really research Sajigi or like chart manipulation or anything like that until hearing pH-1's song. So it gets the gears turning in your brain.
So there's also like the calling out of, I guess, like flex culture, you know, like what.
Yeah, and that ties back to like the appropriation aspect, right?
But also just like the whole idea that hip hop. I did a research project on this, but like the number of times you see people talk about being rich, just drugs, stuff like that. Like sometimes it's not necessarily affiliated with your personal experience, it's just a trend.
Exactly.
I remember listening to a song by this Korean artist called C-Jam, and from my knowledge, marijuana is criminalized in Korea, right?
Yeah. Oh no.
He had a song about marijuana, and I was like,
isn't that
I mean,
illegal
in the U.S., it's partially criminalized, so I guess maybe you'll hear about it, but like,
it's not
it's very
stigmatized.
It's very not allowed in there.
Yeah.
And it's like really hard to draw the line in terms of those lyrics between like an artist and like their
a trend follower.
Yeah, you know, like, and recently it's become more like that, and the song also addresses that. So yeah, it's a very deep song.
It's thought-provoking.
as we know.
Yeah.
Just my brain. So, you know, it looks like we're sort of getting, unfortunately, towards the end of the pod.
But we have time for our
deep questions with friends.
Woo!
But before we get into that, we'd like to tell you guys, obviously, our song of the week is Pack It Up by pH-1.
Yes, man, let's play it.
The worst mixtape. Buy his soap.
Oh yeah, buy his soap,
merch.
buy his perfume.
He's releasing X soap, so please buy the soap, everyone. Because I probably can't. You might be able to.
Does it sell out quickly?
Yeah.
Like, will I have to fight
I don't
for
know,
it?
actually. I don't know.
See, I'm so used to my life as a BTS stan where it's like, if I don't buy it in 4 seconds, it's out.
I don't know, the hype might be kind of high because he released the mixtape last month, so people are probably like anticipating, so maybe.
Alright, let's fight for some soap, y'all.
You bet I'm giving away my credit card information for soap. Y'all know it.
I have a soap collection actually, so I mean like, this isn't too far off.
And it looked like a pretty big bar of soap. It was like, it was a big square, and I was like,
if it lasts me a while, honestly, that's better. What if
I might not even use
manly? I would love to smell like cologne.
It might. I don't know. I trust him. I trust him.
Catch
I trust
me
pH-1.
smelling like pine oak musk.
You know what? I'll take it. Like, whatever.
Yeah, no, dude. I love the smell of cologne. I would gladly smell like that.
Yes, sir. So stream it, guys, and we'll be back after this short break.
Within your non-chart manipulating bounds. All right, break. Yeah, I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay, so deep questions with friends.
Deep questions with friends. I feel like a lot of the chart manipulation stuff I said is not gonna sit well with people, but
you know what? We had to say it. We had to say it.
Let's just clarify before we begin, so no one attacks me when I get famous. I do not believe fan engagement is chart manipulation. I do believe bots are chart manipulation. I also believe that charts are becoming an outdated form of success. Yes, my faves are at the top of the charts almost all the time. But there are so many artists out there, it is impossible to fairly gauge who truly is at the top. And I think this stuff is entirely subjective and should not be ranked because it is art. And it's unfortunate that we've turned it to a business, but that is the way it is. So, stream...
That's our deep take of the day.
Yeah, stream Map with the Soul 7, stream Pack It Up. But don't get too caught up in charts because they are...
Yes.
No longer relevant.
A little crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I love to see it.
Let's see.
This website is just serving every single time.
Oh my god. It's still allocation, you guys.
If you guys want to check it out, if you just look up philosophical questions into Google, it's like the first thing that comes up.
It is fantastic. It is my favorite website right now.
We'll put it in our link tree because
because we owe our life
it's
to
the most
them.
relevant link of the entire
links.
time.
Also follow us on social media. I put this on the description, but like we never actually address it.
At
Follow
armbridgepodcast. I know our followers are dwindling a little, but please, guys.
Because we meme our episodes every single week. There is a new crusty meme every single week relevant to our podcasts. And we also provide episode hints. Like, yeah, via memes. Like, what better is...
And we might just convert y'all to certain fandoms in the process.
We introduce y'all to new artists. We introduce y'all to new memes. We give y'all memes and make them with their own brains and souls. I think it's worth it. Okay, just follow us. First question.
All right. Are you going to start?
Sure, yeah. Let's see.
Awesome.
I love when we talk about stuff I'm, like, really passionate about, because, like, I get so caught up in it.
That's why we profit off of it and have a podcast.
We haven't monetized it yet. We should do that sometime soon, though.
Honestly, even if I get 5 cents out of this, like,
I'll take thrilled,
it.
Dude.
I'll take it, dude.
Yeah, we'll have to split the 5 cents, 2.5 cents per person.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, okay. This one's cool. Do thoughts have a pattern?
Okay.
First we talk about chart manipulation, then we talk about psychology. What a time.
The duality of this podcast. The volume on this bus is... I keep saying that, I'm sorry.
You know, I have like a vocabulary of like 5 sayings. You're good.
But thoughts? I mean, I feel like depending on the time of day, I start to think about certain things. Like at night, that's when I guess my thoughts are most active, and I start longing for things. Like I feel like it's mostly because of what I'm viewing as well. Like throughout the day, I'm usually like thinking about my thoughts are very influenced on what I see. Like I get very sidetracked. So if I see something that's like on site, during the day I'm like looking at, a lot of stuff about the current protests going on, the current humanitarian crises, and then at night, like I just start getting sad. Like sometimes I look through photos.
I felt that.
I remember I was looking through like these like aesthetic video edits. Like I'm really getting into like filmography and like video editing and whatever.
Okay.
Like, and a lot of them were like from old TV shows, like about like, and all of them were like relationship based. And I was like, man, are you trying to target me?
Like, the algorithm just hits you where it hurts the most.
The algorithm hurts like so bad. Like, why are you doing this to me? But I think, like, for me, my thoughts are just a forced pattern that, like, I have throughout the day. If that makes sense?
I think that makes sense, yeah. Because it definitely comes down to, like, what sphere you're in, right? Like, your little bubble. And I think your thoughts... Let's see, my take on it. Do thoughts have a pattern? Absolutely. Because that's how, like, habits and opinions are formed, right? Like, pretty much everything you outwardly do is because your thoughts have, like, repeatedly reinforced that. Like... We started this podcast because on multiple occasions we were like, it would be cool to do this. It would be cool to do this. It would be cool to do this. And then finally we just did it, right? Same with, like, I don't know, bad habits. Say, like, biting your nails. Like, whether conscious or subconscious, you look at your nails, you're like, that looks scrumptious. Let me go for it. Or, like, when you're nervous, like, your mind has a repeated pattern of, like, okay, what's my instinct now? It's going to bite my nails, right? I know because I had that habit before. And then breaking that habit was also a deliberate pattern of thoughts, right? So I think our entire life, our entire experience as a person is our thought patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, your turn.
This one's kind of... Well, I don't know. It's not super crazy, but does God have supreme power?
I mean...
Or I guess to rephrase it, like, do we hold power ourselves, or is it something higher than us? Because I guess, like, saying God is kind of, like, not as...
I think, if we're going off of, like, God, he's, like, he, she, I don't know, whoever, it, them, like, God is an idea, is a concept that we constructed as humans, right? And maybe it is representative of something bigger that's out there. Like, for me, I personally don't believe God in, like, a traditional sense, like, kind of like a personified being, but I believe it more as, like, just something bigger than myself, like, whether it's just We had this conversation on the, like, that breakfast day. It was you, me, Serena, and I was like,
well, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I see it more of just like the energy around us. If not to sound super like vibes and energy and channels, you know, but like,
No, you're good.
I think it's just like circumstance, like not even circumstance, just like what happens, the way things happens. I wouldn't personify it as a human being, but just like the flow of things, like what. How do I explain it? How do I put it in words? You know what I mean, right? Like, it's just the giant system that's around us. I consider that God. Just like the whole thing that's like way bigger than me as a person. So, what was the question again?
Does God have supreme power?
Does God have, I think,
you answered it, yeah.
Yeah, because by definition, God is the supreme larger being, right? Or form, or whatever you think God is. So yeah, but I also think that we kind of constructed that ourselves, where we were like, okay, there is definitely something bigger than us. Let's call it God.
And it's like, it helps to have like faith, I guess. Like, I'm not super religious. Like, there's some things I disagree with, but like knowing that something has your back no matter what.
It's also
like
humbling, right?
That's like higher than
Yeah.
Because you're a lot smaller in the world than you think you are, and putting that into perspective and whatnot, like, is very interesting.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
Did you hear my knuckle pop? The problem with this microphone is you can hear everything. Like, I recorded a song and you can like hear me swallow, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
We're gonna have to drown that out.
Yep, it's okay though.
Yeah.
That just shows how superior our equipment is. Oh, by the way, we have new microphones.
Yeah. This is Rosie. That is.
This is Cody.
Yeah.
My microphone.
I used an Amazon gift card on it. Yes. Yep.
Well spent. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So, this one's interesting. Why can't every person be a genius?
Like,
I don't even know the answer to this one. Like, I don't know what to say.
Honestly, like, I mean, I understand, like, there are objective geniuses. Like, I remember seeing this show once about, like, child prodigies. Like, they're just born that way. Like, there's no explanation as to why. Like, obviously, maybe they study a little bit more to, to accentuate their already big brains. But I think, like, also, genius is not something intentional. Like, it
isn't, yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the best artists and, like, people that I admire, they're just themselves.
They're just wired that way. Like, they just think that way.
Yeah. And obviously, like, at least in high school, I always wondered, like, wow, these people are so smart. Like, I was always constantly overwhelmed by that. But obviously, like, there's a process behind that. Like, it's not like people were born
good at school.
Geniuses, yeah. Unless I guess you're a child prodigy, which I can't explain at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't think. Well, the question was, why can't
everyone be a genius? Yeah.
Why can't everyone be a genius? Also, I think it's just like your willingness to continue something, like, because at the end of the day, like, these child prodigies are also children, you know.
Yeah.
But like, they obviously have this willpower, like, behind them, like, their childlike, innocence and willpower that drives them forward. Like,
exactly.
They could just sit there and do nothing with their knowledge, but they wouldn't be geniuses. It's because, like, you have the willingness to go forward and stuff like that. And on the topic of music, like, a lot of the artists that I've listened to, like, they just grew up writing music. They just or they had another job before that. Like, speaking of pH-1, he was like a dental assistant, I think.
Amazing.
Before making music, and he started making music like later in life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like everyone can't be a genius because not everyone has, like, the willpower to act on their natural talent.
In this case, I like the quote, like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Because it's kind of like that. Like, there's some people. Sorry, I burped. If the microphone heard that, like, yikes.
Oh.
we'll deal with that later. Excuse me, first of all. But yeah, the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I think that's relevant to this topic, right? Because as you said, I feel like there's some people, they're just wired a certain way, and I feel like everyone's a genius at something. Like, we all have that one thing where it's like, when we started it, we just picked it up, right? And it doesn't have to be academic. Like, it could be, I don't know, crochet, woodwork, gardening, shoot, like, anything. Everyone has that one thing that, like, when they do it, it just clicks immediately, right? And I think that kind of ties into the whole like following your dreams, following your passions thing, right? But despite this, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to keep going and pursuing that and like using your natural talent and reinforcing it with hard work, or if you want to just, you know, it's like, okay, I'm good at starting this, but I'm not gonna like build it up.
Yeah.
So why can't everyone be a genius? I think it's a combination of the two, right? I think everyone, well, here's the thing, I think everyone can be a genius. I think because genius isn't defined by anything. It's not necessarily good at school. It's not that you have to be like intellectually smart. Like, you could be a genius at building campfires. Like, shoot, you can take like 2 damp pieces of wood and like bring the most killer campfire ever. Right? Like, I think everyone can be a genius, but simultaneously, like, not everyone can in practice do it, because as you said, there needs to be that will. There needs to be persistence. So if something clicks immediately, great, but then you have to like pick up from that and keep going forward.
I think there's also that like hidden, because I feel like some people just aren't in like the right environment like to discover their natural talent. So like, I know we had a question before on another episode, and I think we sort of talked about it last episode, about like human potential. Like, I don't think you all realize that at the same time, because especially like as a high schooler, you're forced to think about like, what are you good at before going into college, or even in college, like, what are you good at going into a job. But I think that's something you can't force.
You can't force to think about it. You just have to discover
it. You could probably go your whole life without figuring out your hidden talent.
For sure. And that's just because circumstance doesn't allow for it.
And it's like unfortunate. So that's just, I guess that's why like, again, not everyone can be quote unquote a genius. So.
I'm in no way calling myself a genius, but I was wait, hold up. Yeah, I was fortunate to discover that like I kind of have an affinity for writing, like writing, reading, English type stuff. I pick up very, 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 very quickly. So anything in terms of like languages, writing, you know, anything with words, I tend to pick that up very quickly. But I never consistently spent time on that. I think that's why you said like not everyone can be a genius, because there has to be that like discipline and like drive and like just persistence. So while I do write a lot, like I write songs, I write stories, I'm pretty good at my English classes in school, I don't make it my life. Like, I haven't devoted myself to it, and because of that I can't be considered a genius in it, at least yet. I don't know, who knows, maybe down the line. Hopefully. But yeah
okay. Can dreams be associated with the unforeseen future?
What do I say to that? Let's see. I don't know. I think from a scientific perspective, no, right? Because your dreams are... do you mean like dreams, like dreams, like sleeping dreams?
It just said dreams in the question.
Okay, I'm going to go with sleeping dreams because that makes sense most, given the context. Scientifically, it's like a combination of everything you've ever seen. Like, all the faces in your dreams are people you've come across at one point, because your brain can't conceive something that it hasn't already perceived.
Right.
So in that sense, no, I don't think so. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know that I believe dreams are like omens necessarily, but I do think they can kind of be a reflection of your anxieties of the future. Like I mentioned in my guest episode with the manifestation one, that for me, I had this dream that, well, I don't know if I edited it out. Well, okay, either way, I had this dream that I had like this recurring dream that I just like kept dying in multiple dreams in like late May or something. And I would wake up every time, and it's not like I was scared that I was dying. I just wake up and I'm like, why did I die in that dream? And then I'd go to sleep again the next night and I die again, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, that's kind of scary. And I Googled it. I don't know that I believe in dream interpretation necessarily, but they mentioned that generally you have dreams about death when you're about to go through like a major life change. And for me, like, that's college right now, right? Like, I'm transitioning out of high school to college. I'm moving to a whole new city. Like, adulthood's another thing. Jesus, I don't like that. Did I tell you I got bitten by a dog, and so I had to take my I had to deal with doctor stuff. And then this happened 3 days after I turned 18.
Bruh.
God
What
was
kind
like,
of signal
adult
is this?
responsibilities, and I was like, no, stop.
Stop.
That's terrible. But yeah, like, I don't know that they can necessarily predict the future, but I think they are reflective of, like, what you're aware is going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 It's most of the time, like, I forget what I dream about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but sometimes, you know, they're like, I don't know, my dreams are very normal. Like, I just communicate with people and whatnot. But I don't really think they're as indicative of the future because I don't remember them. But I know that the things I dream about are always reflective of, like, what I want. And I've started to realize that a lot of the things that I want are very normal things. Like, you know, maybe meeting up with somebody or talking to someone I've never talked to, having the courage to do that. So I guess that kind of disproves, like, the whole premise of the question, in my case. And I guess in terms of manifestation, I've never encountered that directly yet, so I'm trying to manifest that into the air.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Manifest
those
something.
things.
Let's do
Yes,
it.
yes,
What do
yes,
you want to
yes.
manifest? That's my bonus question for today.
Dang. I guess, like... I don't know. I kind of went the relationship route, and I was like, you know, maybe.
Maybe someone would be nice.
Maybe.
A person.
We'll think about it. But,
yeah.
you know, looks like we're getting towards the end of
Yes, ma'am.
our wonderful segment. So, you know, as we conclude, everyone, thank you for listening. What started in quarantine has now come to a non-temporary end. Again, please visit allocation.com if you want to check out these insane questions, because every time we start the segment, we're like, oh my god, this is crazy. And they are crazy.
They are crazy.
They are crazy. Interestingly enough, for our 10th episode special, we will be doing a part 2
Yay!
of our song review series with a very
and
special
we have...
song at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. So we hope that you guys continue to join us every Tuesday for more advice and overall shenanigans. Until then, this is the Armbridge Podcast.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.